What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Vigilante, and you're watching the Vigilante Effect. And today we're going to be talking about Joker spoiler discussion with myself and the cameraman who's half asleep right now. So this is gonna be an exciting video because this is a movie that I've been looking forward to for a really long time, and I quite enjoyed. I've seen it already at least twice. My brother here saw it how many times? One time. And we came out of it with a lot of thoughts, a lot of theories. We've also been hearing things online, etc. But this is something that there's some things you're gonna hear here that I guarantee you haven't seen anywhere else, just because of our approach to this subject. Now we're breaking not this particular video. But we're gonna have two videos on the spoiler discussions of Joker. One that's focused mainly on the movie itself and just the cinematic universe of DC and what it all means in terms of what was happening within the film. And also another separate video, that's going to be focused on what was the message, the social message or social implications of the movie, any political implications, etc., which is a completely separate discussion. It'd be too long if we were to put it in this video. So we're going to be kind of all over the place today. We have a couple of questions that we want to discuss and some standout scenes. The first scene is, I think, the subway scene. What did you think about that scene?
Yeah, so I mentioned, I thought when I saw that scene, it reminded me of there was a similar type of situation, a murder on the subway, or not murder, it was a shooting incident in New York subways in like 1984. It was with a bunch of kids who were supposedly bothering a man as well, and the charges, the man either wasn't defending himself, or he was overzealous with his claims of self-defense, like he went overboard. So when I saw that scene, that's what I immediately thought of, because obviously Gotham City, the movie was clearly shot in New York City.
Yeah.
Mostly New York City, I think.
And there's a lot of parts we're thinking is like the Bronx.
It was shot in the Bronx.
Yeah, for sure, right?
No, it was, yeah.
You looked it up?
Yeah, I think
Was
so.
it where we thought it was?
No, I don't know where it was, but it was definitely in the Bronx.
Yeah, there was some scenes that, because we grew up in the Bronx, so there were some scenes that we thought, oh, is this where we used to go to, or is this where we used to play as kids? So it's kind of cool. It's actually a pretty good representation of, not overall obviously, but just kind of a generic representation of what the Bronx is like, and a little bit more exaggerated though.
But yeah, like I didn't expect Joker, the way it happened. I just did not expect it to happen like that. Like the way they shot it was really good.
Yeah.
Because was it first person? They showed first person, him killing that first person with the gun, right?
I don't know.
They just showed the gunshot. I don't remember.
No, I don't think it was first person.
You heard the gunshot first though, right?
Yeah, I think it was almost like simultaneous, where once he shot the gun, it did kind of show you from like his perspective what happened to
which is not
the guy once he got shot.
That's not usual. They don't show that. That's not how they show murders in movies usually.
Yeah.
So I don't know, that scene definitely. Yeah, I don't know. The movie made me uncomfortable a lot of times.
Yeah.
I'm not. It's not because I'm squeamish or anything about the gore. It's just because it felt so realistic.
Real. Yeah.
Yeah, like it just felt really real. Like so, didn't feel like, and also because it was such a very character focused story. You're following this character even after that scene, which is like halfway through the movie.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I don't want to be around this character anymore.
Yeah, he was very creepy. It was like the movie played a real fine line. I can't express how much I love this film. I love it so much. Like I'm constantly debating this last week whether this was my favorite film of all time, or my favorite comic book movie at least of all time. And I think I think it might be my favorite comic book movie of all time. It's top even the Dark Knight, but that's for me. I'm not saying the Dark Knight is. I love the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
But that could just be the initial high. I don't know, but I really, really, really love this film. That scene, and just overall, the film really balanced and treaded the line of creating sympathy or empathy or both for the Joker character or Arthur Fleck, while at the same time making you feel eerie or uncomfortable with him, to the point where and it was the score, the score was just so amazing from the beginning. Automatically, as soon as you walk into the movie, it automatically puts you in this world where it's playing with your emotions. It's making you so sad just by the score, or it's making you feel like you're on the edge of your seat, or you don't know something wrong is happening. It's like you can see right through his mind, and then all of a sudden it jumps to a happy song. Back to the subway scene. The score was amazing. The score had me just like pumped up like crazy. And as they were kicking him, I don't know if you noticed, it was very subtle. As they were kicking Arthur Fleck on the floor, he had this it was a very comic book Joker kind of look where he's normal, or he's in pain, and then all of a sudden that pain turns into anger, and you saw it on his face, and he started to grind on his teeth, and he growled just a little bit. I could swear he growled. He was getting beat up, and then all of a sudden he just turned his face. He said, oh, at least he made the face where it look. So, anyways, the point is, the way Joaquin Phoenix played him in that scene, it was almost as if he completely transformed from that timid, weird kind of character to someone who just decided to take control of the situation. And so as soon as he shot that, and they were Wayne employees.
Yeah, they were Wayne.
Yeah, they were Wayne employees. Thomas Wayne.
It's crazy how everything.
Thomas Wayne mentioned it later on when he said, when he talked about it. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But the turn of events, the way it was, first it was like, oh, yeah, they got what they deserved, right? Because they were also, bothering that girl.
It looked like they were gonna rape her or something.
Yeah,
like that. And she was looking at him to help her or something.
Yeah,
but yeah, he didn't do anything, and then
and that explains there was some headlines that said vigilante. But why would he be considered a vigilante, which is typically someone who goes outside the law to find justice, unless there was a potential crime that he addressed, which is weird because I'm not sure that was ever talked about. The girl was ever mentioned in the news.
No, she wasn't. No. That's the thing. I was like, we'll get into it later.
Okay, so we'll get into that later. Okay,
not the girl, but
that falls into that.
Joker.
What was real? What was not real?
How he thinks about what happened as well.
And then, what did you think of once he shot them, and then he shot the last guy that was running away? What did you think about that?
I don't know, man. It was, like I said, it was just way too realistic.
Yeah.
It was okay. The reason why it was unsettling is because, literally 10 minutes before that scene, you could not see Joker killing anybody.
Yeah.
As he was, you're like, it just suddenly turned. You know. So and then when he does it, it's like, okay, he does it for self-defense. Then after that, it's like he just does it for the hell of it.
Yeah, people keep saying self-defense. It wasn't just self-defense.
Yeah, it wasn't just self-defense because the guy
he
left
went
the
overboard.
train.
Yeah.
And then he literally went outside the train. That was really
crazy.
I
didn't expect that.
You know what it reminded me of? When he saw the guy leaving the train and he was walking off the train. It was similar to those Halloween movies or those Halloween Michael Myers or those serial killer movies where you're running away and you think you're gonna get away and then he just literally just walks out.
Yeah.
And just shoots him. It was.
Yeah,
it was like you're
tough.
watching
It was tough.
It's like watching a horror movie from the perspective of the serial killer. That scene, that's how it was.
Yeah.
After the first gunshot.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I also one thing that surprised me about the first gunshot, was the fact that he just had this gun in the hospital with the children.
Yeah, that's true.
And, you know, he said it was a prop or whatever. Obviously, you know, he was lying about that. But still, I couldn't fathom that he brought a loaded gun to the hospital. Even though in reality, the whole reason he had the gun was for self-defense, right?
Yeah.
But still, in my mind, that gun was blank to the point where I completely forgot about it. So when he shot it, I didn't expect that he was going to... I was expecting like a fist fight. I didn't expect anything with the gun at all.
I didn't expect the gun.
And it just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't think it came out of nowhere. It's just the way they shot it, man.
Yeah.
The way... I expect them to use the gun because, like, it's called Chekhov's gun, or I forgot what it's called, but basically it's a concept where when you show something in a movie, that means you have to use it.
Yeah.
So they showed the gun, so obviously the gun's going to be used. I just didn't think... It's just the way they did it was sudden. Like, even if you knew it was going to happen at that scene, is when it happened, it was like just out of nowhere. Because you don't even see him pull him out. Like, they don't give any indication that he's going to take out the gun or he's thinking about using the gun at all. He's on the floor. That's the last thing you see him, and then you just kill everybody. So yeah, I don't know. And then what was interesting was that they were portraying him as a monster when he killed them. But when you were in the scene, the initial gunshots, he looked like he was like somewhat horrified or whatever. Yeah. But like he actually grows into that monster that they depict him as.
Because he didn't need to chase after the guy.
It's kind of interesting, by the way.
Yeah.
Because he says, actually, I feel like that'll come later, but in the aftermath of the gun shooting, he admires how they presented him. So it's kind of like how they presented him led him to adopt that identity that they gave him.
So that I think goes into kind of the social commentary of the film. That's why I'm so excited to make that video, because there's so much content within this. There's so much message within this. I don't understand critics that said this film is what would they say? Very shallow. It's not going to create discussion. Well, I don't know what these critics are thinking, or if they're just haters. They have to be just haters, because this film, I couldn't stop thinking about it just from a social perspective. On the commentary. The commentary was so smart. It's not just a copy of what was the movie Taxi Driver?
Yeah.
The prior, the one in the past, Taxi Driver is the one that everyone compares it to. It's not just that. There's a lot of things relevant to current times that create a lot of discourse and a lot of controversy. But in any case, we'll jump into that. What I was gonna say was, one of the things that about that scene is when he was chasing the filmmaker played a lot with comedy, and treaded the line of comedy and dark, very dark, bleak.
It was black comedy.
Yeah, because as the guy was kind of coming out of the subway.
Yeah, it was kind of.
It was hilarious, to be honest. Like, I was like, what is it? But I felt kind of ashamed.
Yeah.
To laugh, because I'm laughing at this guy's death, and in reality, to me, it's just a movie, but it's the way it was portrayed, and even him limping away from him, it seems so bad to laugh at something like that, but it just looked like it's something that would be out of a comedy.
Yeah.
And, you know, kind of like what he said. I was thinking of my life as a tragedy, it's kind of like, but it's really a comedy, because from his perspective, it's funny.
Yeah, that's the thing. So it's like they show you from his perspective, and you're kind of with the Joker at that moment. That's what I'm saying. That's what made me uncomfortable about the movie. Is that you're with the Joker that entire time. You're with his perspective, and therefore, everything you're going through there's a lot of people who are in the theater who are laughing at scenes that I didn't think were funny at all. Yeah. And a lot of other people weren't laughing, but then I was like half laughing and half people like uncomfortable. You could tell. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting. It's like it forces you to kind of take his perception of things in a way where he finds things funny that people generally don't find funny
Yeah,
or is
yeah.
inappropriate. But in those situations, you're like, oh, it's a movie, so you find it funny. It's kind of like, well, that's how he sees life in that similar
Yeah.
way of like, this is mad, like, he lives in such a delusion that it's like watching a movie, I guess.
Yeah.
You know?
And then he went out and finished that guy off, and he made sure to follow him to finish him off. He didn't have to do that. And then after he finished him off, he shot every single bullet that was in the gun.
Yeah.
So obviously it was a lot more than just self-defense. It was like it wasn't self-defense. It was way more than self-defense. You know, self-defense is shooting and then realize, oh my God. But this was going out of his way to make sure everybody was dead. But in any case, then came the scene where he started dancing. He went to the bathroom and he started dancing, the slow ballet dance. And it's revealed to us that what comes next isn't real, which is what comes next is he goes in and he kisses the neighbor. And it's presumed that, you know, they do stuff together. And somehow she's now dating a clown.
Yeah. I mean, that whole thing, when it first happened, I was like, it took me out for a little bit.
Yeah. I was like, that's kind of bad writing, right?
Yeah. I was
like that's a weak part of the movie.
It's not even that it's a bad writing. I was like, this is like, nobody would ever date this guy like this. Like, it does not make any sense.
I felt like she was such a cliche that, you know, there's characters that are written in that are like, there's the weird guy and there's the one girl that she's so cool and, you know, almost too cool, like you'd never expect her to be with him.
Yeah.
And no matter how weird or how awkward, whatever it is that he does, she still finds the thing he's doing attractive, and you're like, what is this, you know?
Yeah.
So like she seemed like a very cliched character at first.
Yeah.
And that part I was like, all right, I gotta try to look over this because I like the movie so far, but except for this part. So
yeah,
I was really happy to see that it wasn't the reality.
But I think that was the point. I think what the movie was doing with those, you know, the discussion about which scenes were not real and which scenes were real. The scenes that weren't real, I feel like would not be real in reality either, if that makes sense. Like, they made it clear what scenes are realistic and what scenes are unrealistic.
And that really disqualifies, I think, a lot of stuff in the movie.
No, I don't think so.
I think so.
What I mean is that the way, for example, what I mean is not that this literally would happen in real life, but it's like, okay, well, if this seems ridiculous, like over the top, then it probably is. In his head, it's probably a delusion. It's probably over the top. So, like, with the girl, like, she just comes in, she's like, were you following me today? She doesn't say anything regarding that at all. And then he jokes about having a gun and robbing her house. Like,
yeah,
that stuff is just so out of, like, it's just out of it's just so out of the ordinary that you know it's fake. So I feel like what the movie did is that it used that, it clearly showed what was delusion, what wasn't based.
It created a boundary.
It created very, very clear boundaries. Yeah. I think.
Let's talk about that a little bit as far as the reality versus not reality. So I'm thinking of something, but I'm not sure if this is.
Please don't tell me it's the Super Rats.
No, we're gonna get to the Super Rats. The Super Rats are important. I'm telling you, they're important. Right. No, not the Super Rats. But of deciphering what is real and what is not real. I'm not sure. I'm just kind of throwing it out there. I feel like when he does the slow dances, he's doing the slow dances right before he starts imagining something. So more than likely, once he does the dance, what comes after that is not real. My proof for that is there's two things. The first thing is when he first has the gun, right? And then he's watching, I forgot, I think he was watching the Murray Show. And he takes the gun out. First he starts to dance. Then he imagines a conversation where something is funny, and then he shoots the window, right? Remember that scene? So that was like the director's showing us how he looks while he's imagining this, how he looks to the audience, right? Then came the scene where he was in the subway and he actually shot those bankers or Wall Street people. And afterwards, he does the slow dance again. And immediately after that, now we're seeing how it looks like in his mind, the delusion, which is when he goes and he kisses the girl, and we find out later it's all fake. So what was that? It was in his mind. At that moment, it was in his mind. So I felt like those are two instances. I think there are other instances as well that showed that. But I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. What do you think of that?
The dancing signifies.
The dancing was of some importance for sure. Like it had to have some meaning, and I feel like the meaning was it was like the transition from reality into delusion.
Maybe. I mean, one thing with the subway killings was they kept on saying the guy had a mask, the guy didn't have a mask, and apparently I don't remember, but from what I've seen other people say is that there is scenes where Joker's looking at the mirror and it shows a mask when he's not wearing a mask. Like we see him not, we don't see him wearing a mask, but in the mirror shows him wearing a mask.
Where?
Like I forgot, right after the subway scene or something like that.
Really?
Yeah, something like that. So
I didn't see anything.
He probably
like that.
maybe he imagined the situation differently as well. So I mean, I guess the question is also: are the delusions entirely fake, or are they just? Does he just switch things around?
Well, what do you think the subway scene? Well, this is a question we want to
Definitely,
answer.
I think it was real.
Do you think the subway scene was real, or
Yeah.
well, we know the subway scene happened, but do you think it happened as we saw it,
No.
or do you think it was different than what we saw?
I think it was. It was weird. Like,
Do you think he
I
was?
felt like
do you think he was as much of a victim as
No.
we saw him to be in that scene, or
So-
was it more? He was more of the one that was aggressing the issue.
So they were drunk, right? And the way they were singing, it was like, it was weird the way they were singing, right? So I don't know if you remember when he was on the Murray show. He says, "Why'd you kill those guys? They were bad." He said they were bad singers.
He said no, that's not what he
He
said.
said they couldn't sing or something.
The first thing he said was because they were horrible people, something along those lines. That they were horrible people, right? And then he went to, oh, why do you guys feel so bad for them? If it was me, you wouldn't have cared. Then finally at the end, when it seemed like he didn't care, he was taunting and said that they couldn't carry a tune to save their lives.
Yeah.
So kind of painted a
For
picture
me,
of
what-
he. It's almost as if you were to twist the situation, you would twist it as if, he gave them the option of singing. Maybe an alternate reality was he had them at gunpoint and told them to sing to save their lives, and the song wasn't good and he killed them.
No,
that's the way it kind of came across to
maybe,
them.
Maybe they were just drunk. I was gonna say maybe the delusion was maybe they did bother a girl, but they were drunk and they weren't bothering him, but they were just singing, like drunk people sing and act stupid, and then he killed them, like that. Like they didn't actually do anything to him, because there's other situations where he's in delusion. So what I meant by it's
I don't think there was a girl.
Maybe not. I don't know.
I don't think a girl even was there, because where was she during this? She never said anything during this whole thing.
That's true.
She never came out and said anything.
I'm saying there's some situations that seem like it's too unrealistic to not be delusional. So the kid stealing his sign and then beating him up for it. Like who steals signs? Like
well, let's get to this. Let's just stick on this one first.
So I was gonna say that basically, So it seems like his delusion is that he makes himself into a victim somehow for everything.
Yes.
And it's possible that maybe he's not always as innocent as he
portrays himself. Yes. And I think one other thing. So, the movie, the way it plays out so real, right? That when something bad happens, it hits you even harder. It's not like, oh, it's an action movie. It's not like Deadpool, right? I've heard, John Campio was talking. I think it was John Campio that said Deadpool is a lot more violent than this movie. I can't remember who it was. Or it might have been Jeremy Johns, one of them.
Yeah.
So
it was what's his name?
Campia?
No, Stuckman, I think.
Oh, is it Stuckman?
Yeah.
Oh, might have been Stuckman. I don't know. I like all of them. I like watching all of them. So, one of them said that. So when you're watching a Deadpool movie, right? It doesn't stand out because you're already expecting fantasy, like nothing is real, right? But here, everything is so grounded that when violence happens, it makes you feel really uncomfortable, or a lot more uncomfortable than you would in a Deadpool movie, because it's brutal. So, why I say this is everything seems more grounded where it's believable. The way the girl looked at him in the subway scene, when they were talking to her, she looked at him and she kind of like gave him a look like it's your cue to step in and save the day kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It felt a little out of
place.
It felt a little out of place, like
saying.
within that film. Like it didn't feel like something that would happen in this kind of
That's
movie.
exactly what I was trying to say before with the delusions. You could tell it's a delusion because it does not come off as realistic as the movie tries to portray itself.
So are we agreeing that we don't think the girl was there?
You just brought this up now, but probably not.
Probably not, right?
Because I was thinking it was weird when she just walked away. I was like, what the hell happened to her? She just vanished after that. Like, where did she... She just looked at him. She didn't say anything. She just walked away right after. It's kind of weird. Like, the whole thing, I thought...
Like, she just disappeared.
Them singing at him, too, was very
something?
cinematic thing. The way they were singing at him, it was as if it was in a... Like, it was... It was cinematic, I guess. I don't know how to explain it, but, like, not realistic. Like, it was not organic. Like, it was something like he imagined. Like, it came off like something he could have possibly imagined.
You know what I think might have happened? So, okay, remember in the hospital scene when, again, this was so there was a couple of signs that the love interest, I forget her name, but the love interest was not real, right?
I don't know what I'm saying, yeah.
When she was in the hospital, right, when he was in the hospital with his mom, she was sitting down with him and, comforting him, etc. Then she got up and left. She got up and left at the moment where something real happened, or presumably something real happened.
Yeah.
What was that was when the TV showed the Murray show, and it showed them showing the video of his comedy act.
Yeah.
Okay, that reminded me a lot of that situation in the subway where she just disappeared from view. Now this is the real situation. So what might have been the real situation? Maybe that part where she was there was not in existence at all, and he maybe had concocted that in his mind to make himself feel more like a hero, and maybe the what he saw as vigilante, those weren't really in the papers. Maybe that's just something he was seeing in his mind because that's how he wanted to see himself, as someone who was a vigilante. Because as far as the world is concerned, why are they calling him a vigilante? Vigilante for what? There was no purpose for that. Unless they're talking about, because of the movement of kill the rich, maybe from that perspective.
The
anti-elitist, maybe from that perspective, yeah. Maybe from that perspective. Okay, so I might take that back. But in any case, that whole situation with the girl perhaps was added there by him in his mind. And as soon as she walked off, that's the reality that happened, which is they came around him drunk. Maybe they were bothering him. And then maybe that led to a confrontation between them. And he got annoyed maybe by their singing and then shot them. Maybe something along those lines.
Could be.
Or something where he antagonized them. Or maybe it happened exactly as it happened.
Yeah, maybe.
But, that's the beauty of this film, that you're really not sure what is and what isn't.
I mean, yeah. Okay. So what do you want to talk about after the subway scene?
All right, so after the subway scene, you're done with the subway scene.
Yeah, let's move on to.
Okay, we'll move on. So, what about the comedy scene when he was doing his first act? What did you think of that?
What do you mean? Like.
What was your emotion? What went through your mind through the whole process?
Oh man, that was just me. I felt bad for him. I forgot. Was that after? Yeah, it was after he. Yeah, that was after he killed them. Right?
Yeah, that was way after. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt bad for him, but I hated that I felt bad for him. And so
Okay.
that's also made me uncomfortable.
Why?
Because he killed those guys.
Can I ask you a question?
What?
What's wrong with feeling bad for somebody, even though they may have done something bad?
Because it's not just something bad. Like in this situation, like it's not that you feel bad. It's like, okay, you feel bad because you want him to succeed at what he's doing, but you don't. I don't want him to succeed at what he's doing because,
You felt like you were rooting for him to succeed.
like the movie, and that scene was meant to make you feel bad for him.
Mm-hmm.
It's meant to make obviously evoke like whatever complexity or complex emotions or whatever. But less about him. I didn't feel bad for him, but it did make me think about other people who might have just mental health issues, specifically like neurological ones, like he had supposedly. So like, I can't imagine, you know, like that's what made me feel bad.
Yeah.
But I also, in my head, I was like, okay, he's also like, I don't know. He was okay with. I feel like at that point he was gone, anyways. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the scene where when he started to talk and then he just started to laugh, he couldn't really get the joke out. I just felt like that was really sad. Like
It was really sad.
I felt like it really hit me in the gut.
Yeah.
Because he finally had his moment where he wants to kind of get it out there, and he can't because of this condition that he can't control. So yeah, like you said, you know, thinking about mental health and especially this is something that, you know, for me in terms of my work, my work focuses on mental health, developmental disabilities, etc. So to me, I was able to internalize it even more from that perspective and thinking about people that I work with and how there's so many things that people are incapable of doing, and the general public is going to automatically interpret it in a negative way when is really out of that person's hands. Like we might see something and think this is very obnoxious, this is very disrespectful or antisocial, etc. And it's really out of the person's control.
You know what's interesting also with it just ties into this mental health thing, this delusion thing, is that a lot of people who make you think that he's delusional are people outside of him. It's kind of similar to like people denying. It's like, let's say somebody who has mental health issues explains like, I have these problems in my life, blah 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 blah, and then, you know, a lot of times they're met with skepticism by people, and it's as if they're delusional and like what they experience isn't real. It's like, for example, with the sign that he had, right? And they got taken from him, he got beat up for it. It might be, I think it might have been delusional or unrealistic, but it could also been like a message of like, Joker is not, Arthur Fletch is not believed purely because of his issue, his mental health issue. Like he's being treated as if he's delusional all the time, even when he's being, you know, actually mistreated or something. Or similarly, when those guys say, "Oh, is that a real condition, or is that just part of your job? Is that part of your job, or something like that?"
Yeah.
So like that's another thing too. Is like, you know,
there's lack of respect for dignity. For someone with a mental health condition, generally there's a lack of respect for dignity, and it may be due to the ignorance of, or the lack of knowledge of, or lack of awareness of that said condition.
Yeah. So like it's just interesting too that maybe there are things that we might be told, or might the message might be that he's being delusional, but he's actually not.
Yeah.
I think that's the other message of the movie too, because like there was in his comedy book he wrote, was it The Worst Thing About having a mental illness is people expect you to behave
as if you don't.
don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think we're gonna touch a lot on this topic and the social implications. And don't worry, this is not SJW kind of stuff like where it's like way over the top. You know, that term is just like, you know, all over the internet now and all that. And it's taken a whole another meaning, you know, at this point. But yeah, we're not gonna just kind of like shove something down your throat or whatever the case is. We're just gonna analyze what are some of the messages that were hinted at or meant by this film, and you know what are some things that we can possibly take as a society to better ourselves, you know, from this, because I think there's a lot to take from this film, especially on the topic of mental health. But in any case, the next thing is the Thomas Wayne scene. Let's talk about that.
I think it was fake.
Okay, I agree with you.
Because it's
Why
not
do you
real.
think it was
Okay,
fake?
so when I first saw it, I thought it was fake too.
We're talking about, just to be on the same page, we're talking about the one
Where he goes and
when he
sees
goes in,
him
sees,
at the
sees
theater.
him in the theater.
and
Yes.
goes to the
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
I thought it was because I was like, when I saw him go to the protest, he just randomly passed the police line. Like, there's no police protecting the barrier for this really wealthy man. It makes no sense. Then the other thing is, he passes their line. He apparently knows exactly where to go to get a pair of clothes. And he gets the clothes and puts them on. And then he goes inside. They just happen to be watching a movie while people outside are... Like, it makes no sense. And then he goes inside and he spots him, like, exactly where he is. And then all of a sudden, he just happens to have to get up. It was weird, too. Like, he didn't get up and asked to go to the bathroom. Like, some guy came to him and spoke to him, and then he went up and went to the bathroom. It was super... Like, it was so, like...
Yeah.
Weird. And then he went to the bathroom, and then he saw him there and spoke to him.
Well, I'm gonna give you foolproof evidence that this was not a real scene.
What?
The first evidence is he was watching the protests on the screen, on the TV, at that moment.
Yeah.
He was watching the protests that were occurring in front of the theater.
Yeah.
And then as he's watching them, it transitioned to him being in the protest. You could argue, well, he could have gotten there that fast enough, or I don't think he would have gotten there fast enough. But let's pretend he did. All right, whatever. You can say that he did. But I think the way, just from a cinematography perspective, the way he transitioned into that,
It was like right away.
it was right away. So it felt like, okay, this is not real. And then what was added on to
Also,
that?
the lighting, when he was dancing... I think he was dancing, right? He was watching a movie also.
See, that's the thing. I gotta rewatch it for that dancing theory. I gotta rewatch it to see it. If you
was
guys
so
have seen it,
weird,
let me know.
man.
But then afterwards, like you said, he walked in really easily. You know, there was no struggle to walk in. And then when he was in there, he stood out. Like he stood out clearly. He was wearing red while everybody was wearing black. They already had doormen or. I don't know what you would call these people that would watch
Like,
the
how do you
aisles.
just get inside
Like,
without any, like, verification?
But in the theater itself, there were people that were standing and guarding the doors, and they were wearing black. And he was wearing red, so he stood out like a sore thumb, and he was walking in and out, laughing.
You know
no one made any comments.
You know what else also makes it fake? What he found funny.
What do you mean?
What it was on the screen, they were laughing. What was on the screen, it wasn't funny.
Oh yeah, it wasn't funny. That's a good point. Yes, you're right.
It wasn't funny.
Like,
he
to
was
us, it's
only
not something
finding
that was funny.
I
You're
was
right.
like, what? Do people in the '80s find that funny?
Yeah.
It's not like this is like 1900s.
Yeah.
People. It was black and white
Yeah.
movie. It was weird.
And it
man.
matches exactly what the difference between what he finds as what humor he finds as funny versus what the rest of society finds, which is also in contrast, or in conjunction with the scene when he was in the comedy club, and everybody was laughing, and he wasn't laughing, but he would laugh after.
Yeah.
And then he would watch everyone, and he would watch them laugh, and then he's like, okay, this is my cue to laugh. Like, I'm supposed to laugh here, and he would laugh there.
Yeah.
Because he didn't what they were laughing at wasn't funny to him, and what was funny to him was not funny to them.
Yeah.
And that's why his mom told him, you're not funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, that does stand out. And then the other thing is, when he went in the bathroom, right, he took off the coat, and the clothes that he was wearing, I was expecting immediately the guy walking out that he was just going to give him like a nasty look. I was
Yeah.
expecting that because
Yeah.
you're in this area where there's
Yeah,
the
exactly.
elites.
It was
You
so
know,
weird.
you don't belong there. You know, and that's the message of the whole movie. You don't belong there. There's a clear distinction, and there was not even. He didn't even look at him twice. The
Yeah.
guy that was walking out about didn't even look at him once. He just kept looking straight as if he didn't exist.
And the thing is, what did Thomas Wayne tell him? He told him everything Alfred already told him.
No, but hold on a second. Hold on a second. I don't even think he saw Alfred.
No, I think he saw Alfred.
I'll tell you why I don't think he saw
No,
Alfred.
he had to have because he went to the Arkham Hospital.
I think so we have to answer the question of the adoption, right?
Yeah.
So let me just finish this scene, right? So the other proof that I don't think this scene occurred in reality is right after he got punched in the face by Thomas Wayne, he was leaning on the sink, and he was like leaning down like this, and then the scene transitioned right into his house, and there was no movement in the way he moved. It was exactly like a transition from this position to the same position except in a different environment.
And it's very cinematic.
Very cinematic that
But
it was
this
like
movie
in his
is
head.
supposed to be realistic.
Yes.
So the way that you don't think it's initially you don't think it's a delusion because that's how movies are. That's how they do transitions. But this movie's seemingly meant to be grounded.
If you
in
paid
reality.
attention, if you paid attention to it, right? If you didn't pay attention to it, you wouldn't realize that was it. But if you paid attention to it, all the cues from a cinematic perspective were there to tell you that this was something in his head.
Yeah.
It transitioned into the TV from what he was watching into what happened, and it transitioned out at the end into again what he was doing inside the apartment. What's the common ground? The apartment. Yeah. So what seems of this scene is that it may have not actually happened. That was actually in his head.
Yeah.
And now back to before we go to like the fridge scene, back to the issue when he went to see Bruce Wayne. Mm-hmm. Okay.
That felt off too. To be fair.
I don't think it happened.
That's true.
Here's why.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like
here's why I don't think it happened. Go ahead. You tell me what you think.
The transition to it was really weird too.
I don't remember the transition.
I don't remember the transition, but I remember it being weird. I was like, what the hell? He's all... Oh, once he finds out he's his son, he gets into the mansion. He's right outside the door of the mansion, or what have you.
He just appeared there.
Yeah.
How do you just find... One, I mean, it could be that's popular. It could
Obviously
be that you
it's
don't know.
known, but like, how do you just enter?
How do you enter right in the front gate? And who's watching Bruce? Like, how is it all...
Why is
coincidentally, Bruce is there.
His park is right. The park is right in front of the gate.
Yeah,
it's really weird. That's
it
true.
is. So, but I'll tell you why I think cinematically, what cinematically tells us that this is not real. Okay, like all the keys were in the boundaries or the rules of the universe were set by the director within the movie. Mm-hmm. The first scene that we saw him hallucinate, and we knew he hallucinated, was the scene where he was picturing himself in the Murray show, mm-hmm. right? And if you paid attention to that scene, he likened himself to Murray or related himself to Murray in the sense that Murray is his father figure or someone he looked up to, something he wants some sort of relationship with. In that scene, if you go back and watch, Arthur Fleck, his clothing and the color scheme matched exactly the color scheme of Murray. He was wearing a blue suit with a white shirt. Blue suit, white shirt. There's no difference. Blue, white, white. So it showed you when he's in that hallucinating state, it may be that it could be just a cinematic artistic approach. But I think it was more than likely that this is part of his hallucinations, that he likens himself to those he wants to be close to. With Bruce Wayne, his tie to Bruce Wayne would be that he would be his half-brother if Thomas Wayne was his father. And he's going there with the mindset that Thomas Wayne is his father and Bruce Wayne is his brother. And what did he want to do? All he wanted to do was make Bruce Wayne smile. To us, it looked weird because he was like, doing the Joker smile on his face, you know, like as if he did the Joker gas or toxic gas or whatever toxin. And irrespective of that, though, from his perspective, he was really trying to make him smile with the flower, and when he didn't, he wanted to make sure he was smiling. So he was innocent in his intentions. But when you look at both of them, they were both wearing the same exact color schemes. Joker was wearing, or Arthur Fleck was wearing beige, a beige jacket or a brown jacket. Bruce was wearing a beige jacket or a brown jacket. It was the same exact color. And under it was white, under it was white. And then the pants were black, and the pants were black. First, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, this is a really cool kind of like mirror image of Joker and Batman. That they're always tied together, even from the beginning, right? But then after thinking about it, I'm like, wait a minute. Then why was it that in the hallucination of Murray, what's the tie between him and Murray for them to be wearing the same colors? Maybe that's a sign that this is also a hallucination. This whole situation never happened.
Yeah.
And I heard somebody else mention that it didn't make sense that someone who is trained in the military, like Alfred Battle, I don't think they didn't tell us anything about that he would be overpowered by someone as weak and as
that was true though, that he was overpowered by him
so easily,
and also that he didn't call the police, I think.
Yeah.
Right. But then how does this explain Arkham Hospital?
What about Arkham Hospital?
Why would he go to find out about his mother? How did he find out she was at the hospital? All this stuff.
So this is where I'm a little confused because I'm not sure if Arthur was really adopted or if she really is his mother. I'm honestly I'm thrown. But let's take the adoption route, right? If we were to say he's adopted, it could be. So when there are traumatic experiences, there are a couple of things that could happen psychologically, right? Someone can, especially childhood traumatic experiences, someone can bury these experiences to the point where they don't remember them. And so that seems to be the case with him here. He doesn't remember the traumatic experiences. But there's something called secondary or not post-traumatic stress, but it's kind of like post-traumatic stress.
You know what?
But something can come back and remind you of that stress, and maybe he may have some subconscious memory of that adoption.
You know what could have happened instead? Because it was interesting. Right after he saw Bruce Thomas Wayne, his mom ends up in the hospital, right? And they said, oh, she ended up in the hospital because she had a stroke. We were speaking to her, or we were whatever. Maybe that was fake. Those guys telling him, oh, we went to visit her. Maybe Joker flipped out because she was scared of him. Remember? When he
She said, I won't talk to you until you calm down.
She said, you're going to kill me.
Not angry, yeah.
She said, you're going to kill me.
That was a foreshadow. I was going to talk about that.
But she said, you're going to kill me. But when you saw how Joker was acting, it didn't come off like he was going to kill her. But the fact that she said that means that this maybe is a behavioral trend of his. We just never saw it from his perspective. And so what he ended up doing was he hurt her, and he probably felt bad about hurting her or something. He wanted to make himself into the victim. And so he created this whole story in his head about how she abused him when he was younger. Because the whole thing was a fantasy too. When he sees her, the psychiatrist talking to her and everything, he imagines himself in that situation. Oh, you were just laughing and this and that. I feel like in that situation, then he made up all of that as a way to justify him hurting her, because I think he wanted to, but he had animosity towards her because she told him he's not funny. He made the joke about how his mom told him he can't be a comedian when he grows up. All these other things. Maybe there was like some built-up resentment there, and the fact that she didn't tell him about who his father was. So maybe like that was, maybe he caused the stroke. And those guys, because if you think about it, when he walks and he bumps into the glass, that was weird.
Yeah, that was weird. It did stand out.
Right?
Yeah.
That was weird. So it shows maybe that he was being delusional in that moment as well. Because he's not aware of his surroundings.
I don't know. It's
And
possible.
then they
but I
also
don't
made
know.
fun of him, like, oh, is that a condition you made up, or is that is that an actual condition, or is that a thing for part of your job, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe the detectives were never. I don't know. Maybe the detectives probably were real, but maybe in that situation they weren't there at the hospital.
Mm.
It's weird if you think, why would they show?
No, but that was the first. That was their first introduction. Was when they came to the hospital.
Was it?
I think so. Yeah, yeah, it was. That they said we came to ask some questions about you, and you know, he said he told him the doctor said she had a stroke. And then
Yeah,
they
but
said,
if
"No,
we're
it
saying
wasn't."
that Thomas Wayne, him going to see him was a delusion, he was in the apartment the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
That means he was in. Where was he when he left? He was coming back. Where was he coming back from? If he supposedly left.
Where was he coming back from? Where? What are you talking about?
Like, think about it. It doesn't make sense. He leaves and he comes back right at the time she's going to the hospital. But we said he was being delusional when he saw Thomas Wayne.
Right.
So, the scene.
Oh, you're saying where was he coming back from? Who knows? Maybe
Oh no, he's come back from. Oh, you're saying Alfred is fake.
Yeah.
That was he was come back from Alfred.
Yeah. Yeah.
That might have. I don't know.
Maybe it was real. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there that it's possible that scene wasn't real. That the whole involvement with Thomas Wayne period wasn't real,
Yeah.
and it was just completely in his mind because of what his mom has said.
I don't know. Maybe.
And no, because at the end of the day, if you go back to when they were fighting, him and his mom, it was about that. It was about the fact that it was about the fact that she thinks Thomas was his father.
Father, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't know, man. It's one of those that you don't have a solid answer to.
Yeah, I mean, Joker's. That's what he says in The Killing Joke. I prefer my past to be a multiple choice.
Yeah, which everybody's talking about.
And I think that movie does that.
It does that. I love that part.
If you think about
yeah,
it, you know how
that.
he says, he says in that story, he says it only took one bad day.
Yeah.
And he believes it will take everybody else just one bad day to become like him.
Right.
And in this movie, when he killed, was it after he kills his mother?
Mm-hmm.
When he goes into the girl's house?
No, it was before. It was after he found out that.
Oh, that she abused him.
Yeah.
And he said, I've had a bad
I
day.
think the abuse was real. Okay.
Maybe.
I think
Why would he go to Arkham Hospital if you're saying the Alfred thing was fake?
I think the revelation of the letter sparked some sort of memory in his mind, because if you think about it, how could he be raised? Look, think about this. How could he be raised by his mom and her boyfriend and be abused to the amount of abuse that he received, to the point that he had brain injury, etc., 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 and have absolutely no memory of any of it at all? So, like, that it's non-existence. He doesn't remember any of it. Huh?
He was a baby.
Was he a baby? I don't think he was a
so,
baby.
Something like that. She's like, oh, they usually cry, but he was smiling. That's why she calls him happy or whatever.
I don't think he was a baby.
I think you know what? I think the Alfred scene was probably real then.
Okay, explain.
It had to be. I mean, how else? For me, that's where the information comes from. The Thomas Wayne scene is not necessary. It doesn't give any new information.
Mm.
Like, he tells him exactly what Alfred told him. Oh, she worked with us. She became crazy. She was crazy. She adopted you. No, did Alfred told me he was adopted by her?
No.
Or she adopted a child?
No, he said she adopted a child.
Yeah.
The one that gave him that said he was adopted was Thomas Wayne.
Yeah.
That's what makes me think. I think my theory is that Arthur Fleck was made aware of his adoption in the past, and at some point in time,
He forgot.
not just forgot, but like
Suppressed it.
he suppressed that memory.
But it doesn't make sense.
And that's what
How
happens.
is he
That's
still
what
living with
happens
his
when you have
mother?
trauma, and perhaps that letter and the insistence on Thomas Wayne being the father, perhaps that sparked some sort of memory. I don't know, some memory that tied the Waynes to the Fleck.
Okay, wait.
Family.
I think I know what it is now.
Okay, go ahead.
But I feel like we just it's just.
We're like speculating like crazy now. We're just
Goes
still
into
going
the
all over
whole
the place.
movie.
Okay, go ahead.
I think you know how the last scene he's in the asylum.
Oh
That's in the
my
future.
God, that's exactly what I was thinking
Wait,
right now.
that's in the future, and this whole movie is him in that asylum reimagining
The whole entire thing.
the whole entire thing in
Yeah.
a way where he's responsible for Batman's existence.
Okay, let's jump into this now.
So
What-
maybe the whole thing is not actually real, and this is the joke to him. I created Batman. That's what he believes now. He caused everything, and he created Batman, and now that's how he connects Thomas Wayne to his life and all that stuff. We're not seeing it in real time. We're seeing a flashback of his. And real time was him at the end in that hospital. That's why he says you won't get the joke. He just makes up this joke in his head. I created Batman to like I
So,
covered-
so you're trying to tell me the 2 hours that we watched was
Yeah.
all fake?
Not all fake, but some of the truth of how he became the Joker, what he did to become the Joker, was probably true. But I think everything with the Waynes, he inserted himself maybe in when he was reimagining everything. Cause it's just weird. The entire movie's about his life, but the last thing they show where he thinks about is Bruce Wayne's parents being killed.
Did you?
Which makes it that is a very central key point in his thinking at that moment.
Okay, let me ask you another
So that
question.
means Batman must have existed when we were reimagining.
Oh, wait,
and
when
if you
he
think
was
about
reimagining.
it,
If he
he's
was-
so
if he
old.
was reimagining.
Wait, he's so old at that time when Bruce Wayne is young. If Batman exists, he'd be like 60, 70 years. How's he gonna be challenging to him at all?